and welcome to the Invisible Cabaret podcast. I'm Ferrero Rochelle.
And I'm Rosie Verbose. Back in pre-corona times, we began Invisible Cabaret, a variety entertainment troupe devoted to stripping away stigma surrounding mental health. We performed in venues across London and were looking forward to our first small tour of the UK.
Sadly, the pandemic had other ideas.
So we adapted our mission to form the Invisible Cabaret podcast. We talk to all sorts of artists about what creativity means for their mental health, thus making the invisible visible. See what we did there?
Please note, we at Invisible Cabaret are not mental health professionals. If you're affected by any of the issues raised in this programme or are struggling with your mental health in any way, we've made a list of resources for you on our website, www.invisiblecabaret.org/podcast/resources.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to the Invisible Cabaret podcast. We hope you're all doing well out there. Today, we have the immense pleasure to be joined by a dear friend of the podcast and indeed ourselves as individuals. He's a theatre maker, a creative bod, all-round very interesting chap, and we're delighted he's here. So please welcome Guy Woolf. Hooray!
Oh, thank you for the standing ovation, guys.
You're so welcome. Whole rooms of people just standing in their homes,
cheering, wringing their hands.
Yeah,
the chorus line and everything. It's great.
How are you, dude?
I'm good. I'm really good. Yeah. I'm all right. It's 9 p.m. in Brighton.
So, Guy, you've been a Londoner all your life, haven't you?
I have.
So,
for my sins.
and to be fair, I don't think I would ever have thought you would have been moving out of London
Neither.
this soon in your life, if ever. So how has that been in terms of being a creative? Has that been a big change, or has lockdown kind of taken away some of the stark contrast there?
Well, I wouldn't say it's been a big change in terms of creativity, because obviously this year's been immensely shit.
Right.
So there's not really, it hasn't kind of shifted work parameters. I commute in to work. I teach. I took a teaching job. 2 days a week still in London. But I think for me it was like, I suddenly had this thing in the first lockdown where I was very aware of noise and like space. I suddenly became like really quiet, and maybe it was a kind of COVID anxiety thing, but just really bothered by noise. And like you said, London my whole life, like love the city, but I found noise just like a real problem. We lived in East Finchley, like suburban, but just off a pretty main road.
Yeah.
And it just got too much. I was like, I just want, maybe just for now, maybe just while things are not the same, while things are a bit quieter, I just want a bit of space and a bit more quiet.
Because it's one of the things that, well, at my point in my life and career, I'm stuck in London. Like, not stuck as in I can't get out, but I'm drawn to it constantly, because in my head I'm like, oh, well, London is where the work is. London is where the jobs are. Like, I have to be in London because otherwise my career is not going to flourish. Like, this is where I have to be.
Yeah. It's a big problem, that, actually. The Londoncentrism of the it's a real problem, because it is actually bullshit. The fact is, like, because there are so many amazing cities in the UK doing incredible work, like you don't need to be in London. You know, our industry is so predicated on, like, if it's not done in London, then it's not really successful. You get loads of amazing, you know, it's like, this is not the nut we have to crack to be successful.
Ugh, I want that on a t-shirt immediately. Okay, let's take it back a step further. Theatre maker, which I don't know that you're fully invested in as a label, Guy, by the looks
That's
of you.
the understatement of the century. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I think it, like, it's a problem of, when I was kind of growing up, or maybe like 15, I was like, I want to be an actor. Like, that's what I want to be. I want to act. And then at uni, I was like, I love drag. Like, I want to be a drag performer. And I also really got into directing. I was like, I want to be a director. And then I was like, oh, but I also like really love just musical theatre and like making musical theatre. So I started composing. I actually really can't like pigeonhole myself in one discipline. Is this a problem that I kind of want my career to be multifaceted? And does that kind of suggest that there's not one that I want as much as other people who, like, you know, this is the thing I'm going to do, I'm going to do this. So theatre maker is the closest thing. Otherwise, you're kind of just jack of all trades, master. If you say I'm a theatre maker, I'm involved in all aspects of theatre, then that's somehow more legitimate than just saying, I don't really know what I want to do. You know, within the discipline. It's a problem. People feel like they need to be pigeonholed. I mean, dancers have it. People say you're a dancer, you're not really an actor. It's like, of course you're an actor. Like if you're using your body to tell, I mean, you guys know about that. You're using your body to tell a story. What actor mean? Like, of course, that's exactly what the thing is. Like you're telling a story using your body. I mean, yeah, I think the whole language of the way we talk about these skills and this career need to change.
Wow, it harks back to the most recent episode that we had with Bria, isn't it? A reshaping of the industry just in general.
It's such a mess. Early days, I remember feeling like this is an industry that promises you so much and gives so little back. But you have to have a really thick skin.
Which is ironic because also we have to be so in touch with our emotions and are often quite sensitive little beans. So how do you balance your sensitivity that makes you good at doing arty stuff with the mental health that gets you through the day and, you know, keeps you sane?
Truth be told, none of my work has ever really reflected the most traumatic things that have happened to me. I actually think that's probably a good thing. Bryony Kimming says that you should only deal with things that are scars, not wounds.
I've heard that before.
It's cool, isn't it? And it's like, actually, that's so simple. I can get behind that because I think there's, with denim, for instance, with the drag group I was in, you know, sometimes the material that would inform the character, that was all me. It's all personal. Mm-hmm. But then in terms of what I would then deliver, and you know, at our busiest, we were very busy and doing a lot. The material I would deliver would be things I would know were sustainable. You know, I think we have to be quite kind of blunt with ourselves, quite honest with ourselves, and be like, can I do this every single night? And if you can't, then don't. Then you shouldn't do it. Because actually, an audience, I don't think an audience wants to see that either. I don't think an audience wants to see you like completely die on stage. Like, I actually just don't think it's certainly not a safe experience for the performer. It's not sustainable. And I don't think an audience wants that. I think they want to, you know, scars, not wounds. Again, it's like I can watch a thing and I can perform a thing that has happened to me that I've processed, dealt with, and have a certain amount of detachment to. But anything that's more raw than that, then I don't think you should be doing it. I think you need to save yourself. That's the first thing that comes to mind, and keeping that like sweet spot of like, I'm sensitive enough because it happened to me. These things are real, but I've not been completely done in by them. There it is in that sweet spot of sensitivity. That's the first thing I think I'd say. And then also I think like, what's the other thing that you do? And the other thing that you do is really important because let's be honest, for the majority of us, this career on its own isn't. Yeah, if it is all that you do and that pays your rent, like amazing. But it's certainly not true for me and for most people that I know. So I think I'm very, very lucky that since I've left university, since I've been a freelancer, that other thing that I've done, I've always enjoyed. You know, you know, it's always been like fulfilling and using my brain and sufficiently challenging, but not too much that it stops me working and creating things. Like, so those are the two things that spring to mind. Like, you know, having a safe distance from your material, emotionally speaking, and then also enriching your life elsewhere. Because the career can become everything. And like friends of mine, like old friends of mine who I sort of, some people I lost touch with because it was like, all you talk about is this career. And, you know, if you're a table, one of your legs is career, the other leg is family, the other leg is friends. Do you know what I mean? It's like you need like balance. And if this is all you can do,
otherwise you'll fall over.
You will fall over. You're a shit table. You know, it's like you need to balance. You've got to be balanced like that. Otherwise, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment.
Apart from being terribly boring for your friends.
Yeah, exactly. So dull. Like, no wonder I don't speak to those people anymore. It's like, stop talking about that audition. Like, where you sang flat. Who cares? Like, it's not interesting. Get over it. Do something else.
But I don't know if the industry sets you up to believe you're a table. I feel like I can't think of a piece of, like a lamp maybe. And you've only got one prong. And your prong is your career. And if you don't have your career, then you're going to fall over.
There's a big problem at drama schools of this exact thing, and something we're campaigning about in Equity is, again, it's changing the rhetoric. Michelle Ashton, you should talk to her. She's awesome. She's on our committee. She's a mum. and an actor, performer. She does these amazing Zoom workshops and stuff. She's an incredible person. And she got a kid, and she was saying, like, at drama school, it's exactly that message. If you don't, agents tell you, you've got if you've got a casting on a Friday, I don't care if it's your mum's wedding, literally happened to me. I don't care if it's your brother, also happened to me. Like, both my mum and my brother's wedding days, I had audition. Like, I cancelled them, obviously. But, like, it was a thing. It was like, there is this expectation that you do it.
And it's interesting as well that this woman is a mum, because that's another thing. I've been asked by family members, by friends, but when you have children, you're going to stop, right? Because it's believed that it's not sustainable to raise a family and be a performer if you're in that middle ground between a failure or a star. So
in my theatre company, Represent, 2 of our actors, we have 6 actors per year, and 2 of them are parents. And, the 6-day working week, like the hours, it's a real challenge. So in a sense, I don't think your like family are wrong in saying that, like, but it's so much harder if you have kids. Like, yeah, it really is. The industry isn't set up to support it. Like, it's a real challenge.
I mean, heck, if they want you to miss your mum's wedding, they're not going to say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. I've got to pick up my son from football practice. You know what I mean? It's that.
Yeah. Or like my daughter's teething. It's like, right. I need to go home.
Can we talk about Represent, please, for a little bit?
Yeah.
How did that come about? What's the aim? What's the dream of the project?
Yeah, so I mean, it's so funny. Like, it feels like, in a way, it's the natural culmination of like all the kind of things I've been thinking and working on, and also like a huge, extraordinary amount of Jewish guilt in there too. Like, how am I doing this as a job? Like, how is this my career? And how was I able to afford it? Oh yeah, like, I lived with my mum. Do you know what I mean? Like, home was a safe environment. I was able to not pay rent, to do shit pay jobs to build up my CV. And I'm not even remotely successful. So how do you do it? Like, how do you do it? And one of my earliest jobs I found out I got it because a guy got it instead, but couldn't afford to take the job.
Wow.
What kind of world is that? So anyway,
Wow.
This kind of culmination of guilt, and also working with equity and researching more, and someone who's like, I feel slightly defined by contradictions. I went to a very privileged secondary school, very, very like top secondary school, on a very big bursary. Grew up off a council estate in Kentish Town, and had this ridiculously privileged education. Went to Cambridge, so I feel like, in a sense, I was kind of really well placed to be able to identify those inequalities, the privilege that I was getting, and therefore what people lacked as well.
Yeah.
Because I kind of could see both sides. So using that privilege, I was like, what do we do? And then uni taught me that the best way of learning, particularly in this industry, is by doing. It is a vocation. Drama schools can say whatever they like the amount of workshops, exercises, great, but like, you got to do it. You got to get on a stage. You've got to fail and fail better and fail again. So I was working on it. It's like, it's got to be a repertory company. I want to start a repertory company. So we employ 6 actors to do 3 productions of diverse texts. They perform them back to back. So it's kind of like, rehearse the first one, perform that one, and then in the day when that show's sort of bedded, you start rehearsing the next play. Okay. So that was kind of about 3 or 4 years of sort of just thought, and like me also figuring out through my career, like, oh yeah, I'm like massively privileged. Like, how am I just waking up to this now? And all the things we were talking about before. And then I knew that for this idea to happen, I had to find funding. Once we got that, it was maybe about 2 years of back and forth, toing and froing, and then we had a season. We had 3 plays, 3 great, exciting plays, 1 production team across them, but 3 different directors. I was going to be directing the first play with a complicité movement director. It was so exciting. We'd worked so hard in about 7 years of planning. I had my first week of rehearsals with the cast. We cast them. They're incredibly talented, amazingly talented, all from a lower socioeconomic background, not been seen really, not been appreciated. And the amount of meetings, I can't tell you the amount of meetings I had with people like, do you really think they'll be up to it? Basically. Was
What?
Like people, I swear, I bet if I confronted these people, they would deny it. The amount of people who told me
horrifying.
they basically wouldn't be able to do it. And I was like, mate, one of our actors, she has 3 children. She's a single mum. I mean, this is a doddle. Like, this is a doddle.
Yeah,
you have no idea.
She's done the hard bit.
Yeah. She'll be fine, mate.
Yeah.
She'll be fine. Obviously, needs huge support, etc. But like, it was just awful. Anyway, then we were a week in. We rehearsed. It was the best working week of my life, hands down. I remember coming home on the Thursday just being like, I found it. Like, this is it. Not only do I really believe in the ethics of what we're doing, and I know it's sustainable, I know it's going to be brilliant. It's just amazing. Nothing can stop us now. And then fucking COVID, fucking Boris's little smug face on that miserable March night when I was so high because I couldn't face what was coming. And he just said, it's just gone. Your dreams, they're just dead. And it was awful. It was so
I
bad.
don't think that was in his speech verbatim, but I hear you. Yeah.
It was just awful. And then, we were like having to cancel everything. It's a huge amount of money that we lost, blah, 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 like long story. And I think a couple of months after that, of just kind of coming out of that and being like, okay, it didn't happen. I then was just like confronted with this amazing wall of grief. And it was something interesting, Ros, I think that you sent me, was that amazing priest or someone who said, after this, there'll be a pandemic of disappointment.
Nadia Boltz-Weber, yes.
How cool. So
Yes,
cool.
yes.
And I've used that. I've remembered that. And I think that was so pertinent because it took a little while. It was so surreal for people to kind of realise what they'd lost, what they'd missed,
Definitely.
And even then I was lucky. Even then we're so lucky because we're still supported, and Represent is going to be amazing. It's going to be so successful. These actors are unreal, like just unreal in their bones. They've got talent, and they want it. They want it, and they're so good. So I love it. I'm so excited, and they're a family. So Represent, watch this space because it's going to be massive. And after this pandemic, it's going to be even more timely and valuable because those socioeconomic inequalities and race, it's all going to be so much worse for a little bit before it gets better. I can't wait. It's definitely the thing I'm most proud of, even though we have actually done nothing. Basically, we've
That's not true, but I get you.
put anything on, but it is just, I'm so proud of it. Yeah.
As you should
Save
be.
us 2 seats
For sure.
for opening night.
Yeah. With that, I take a swig of Heineken non-alky.
Ah, yes. Can we have a chat about that for a minute or two?
Oh yeah, sure.
When we first met, Guy is living in London, and also you were having a beer or 3 with the mates,
Yep. And then some.
and now you're living in Brighton, drinking non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the mental healthy part of that for you and how that fed into everything?
The context here is I was a big drinker. Loved it. Still just think the taste is amazing. Still miss whiskey massively. Anyway, I was just drinking a lot and definitely too much. And I'd had I was so clumsy as well. I'd had so many. I broke my wrist. I broke my finger. And then the last straw was a huge night, which didn't need to be a huge night. I was at home. We had some friends around. It really did not need to be a huge night. And I went to bed completely out of it. Woke up in the morning and there was just blood everywhere. Basically, I'd fallen down the stairs like a dead weight, straight down the stairs. Broke my nose in 2 places. Broke my cheekbone here. Broke the bone under my eye. What else did I break? Oh, it was just awful. Very, very painful. So I went to hospital. Passed out at the hospital, was on sobering up in an MRI machine. Yeah, that is Wolf of Wall Street type shit. It was just so grim. It was just awful. And I came home, I was like, I'm not doing this. I can't live like this. This is just ridiculous. I'll just quit. it. And it was great. Really good. Hard. It's hard. It's not easy. And, I would never be the one to say, we've had enough. Never. So now it suddenly also makes you realise, like, if someone's like, do you want to come to this thing? I'm like, no, like, I don't want to do that. Whereas in the day I'd be like, oh, there'll be booze, I'll go. Now it's like, I'm so much more discerning. I'm like, I don't want to do that.
That's a cool thing.
Yeah, and I have a clear head. You know, I don't miss hangovers. I'm so much more productive. I feel better. Wasn't at first because I was drinking non-alcoholic beer like a fish. So, you know, one vice replaced with another. But yeah, it's been really good, and just kind of exploring the idea that, like, okay, it's okay to maybe have a problem with this thing, and it's kind of always going to be there. And if I start drinking again, it will be fine. I'll be wiser already. But just for now, I'm just not gonna.
I love that you're taking it one step at a time. You're not saying it's until you're 90. You're just like, at the moment, this is the right thing to do for my brain and my body.
I also think it's really fascinating that you've been able to do this during lockdown, because I know that a lot of people, myself included, have turned to alcohol during lockdown.
Just anything numbing. Anything that numbs you from the anxiety at the moment is particularly hard to resist. You're right.
I think I'm lucky because I gave it up. It was the 15th of April 2019. So it's nearly 2 years. Wow. It's actually been a long time.
Wow.
If it had been lockdown, no way, mate. Not a chance. Yeah.
Bless you for saying that.
Oh yeah, let's be honest. No, now maybe isn't the time to be giving anything up, actually. So respect to people that are trying, but yeah, I think now it's a problem, yeah.
Which makes the whole, non-alcoholic Heineken and other brands of beer are available even more impressive.
I do think they're great, actually, the non-alcoholic beers. They're brilliant placebo effect.
Yeah.
I think this is a perfect place for us to stop, to pause, a perfect time to get grateful. So, Guy, kick us off. What are you grateful for this week?
The worthy answer would be like key workers. It's not that. It's not that. Of course I'm grateful for key workers. But what I'm grateful for is my dog. He is literally amazing. Dogs are amazing for your mental health. They're obviously look after them properly, but like they live in the moment. It's absolutely everything is very pure and it's very now. And I think that's such a good thing to feed off of.
Real talk for a moment. Do you really think it has benefited your mental health?
100,000,000%. Like,
wow.
Without a shadow. I mean, if I wake up in the morning a bit like, especially at the minute, if things are tough, like, I lost my aunt 2 weeks ago, and that was so shit. My dog literally just like, he just knows. They just know. I mean, to the point of, licking your face when you're crying. I mean, the sheer like understanding, beyond understanding from him is amazing. And yeah, genuinely just they give you a different perspective. I'm not a parent, but I have to look after him. Like, that's my responsibility. I took that dog from kennels, so like, he's lucky. It's not just one way, he is very lucky. But it's a responsibility, and I like it now informs every day. It's like, who's walking George? Like, we've got these things in the diary. What's going to happen with George? Like, and that's great. I think to lift yourself out. I mean, easier said than done for sure. But it does lift yourself out of your head a little bit and be like, I have to care for this thing.
Taking yourself above and beyond yourself sometimes is actually the most helpful thing you can do, isn't it?
Rosie V, what you grateful for this week?
This week I am grateful for, and it's going to sound peculiar because I, over the last week, have ended up doing some algebra and Pythagoras theorem work with my nephew. I am helping with the online schooling stuff and just basically helping him revise the bits that aren't as strong. And I am so grateful for the opportunity, even though it does mean that I have to visit some stuff I hoped never to revisit in my life. I am so grateful, that I just get the bonding time with my nephew, being able to make him laugh a couple of times in the session, even if then I ask him, what's X in this equation. It's still lovely to see him smile and have that moment with him, and to be involved in this part of his, very important bit of schooling. So that's one way I'm grateful. And I'm also grateful because for example, today, I've been having really, really bad sleep issues lately, partly as medication and partly mental health, COVID, anxiety, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I had to get up at 10 o'clock because I was seeing Theo, my nephew, and on Zoom, I hasten to add. And I knew I had to get up then. And it's probably one of the only times in the last 6 months to a year that I have got up in the morning with like a spring in my step and not dragged myself out because I have to be up because it's good for me. It was actually like, I want to be ready because I'm seeing my nephew on the screen at 10 o'clock. And I am so grateful for that like little sense of purpose. I'll grab anything I can at the moment.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's
so
so
that's what I'm
nice.
grateful for. Rochelle, what are you grateful for this week, dude?
I am grateful for yoga. I've done yoga on and off for years and years and years. I started it when I was about 16. I used to go with my auntie. We used to go to the local gym together and we'd go and do yoga practices together and stuff. It was very sweet. And I got so good at it that I could do a scorpion, which is a move where you put your hands on the floor and your legs are kind of up in the air and they're bent over the top of your head like a scorpion all curled up. And then I gave it up. But over the years, I kind of dip in and out of it. And I've mentioned Yoga with Adrian before, but Yoga with Adrian is the YouTube channel that I follow. And she's just amazing. If you go onto YouTube and Google Yoga with Adrian and then anything, any word, it could be for runners or 5 minutes or for stress, for anxiety, for heartbreak. She literally has a yoga session for anything.
Wow.
I've mentioned before that one of the things she's... I'm banging on now, but one of the things she says is like, well done for taking this first step and sitting on your yoga mat this morning. And that's it. Like just taking some time for me, taking some time and knowing that maybe my day isn't going to be as productive as I want it to be in one way, but at least I've done a yoga practice. At least I've checked in. Yeah, at least I've checked in with myself. At least I've taken some time to, you know, process my morning and be present in myself. So yeah, very grateful for yoga because it set my day up very nicely today.
Do you feel like yoga, like so you say, you know, it supports your mental health? Do you feel like it enhances your career as well, your skills as a performer?
That's a very interesting question.
Well, I mean, you know, you guys, you know, a lot of your work is with your bodies, and is that? Do you feel like that factors in?
I guess so, yeah. I think over the years, there's strength that comes with yoga, you know, strength in your arms and your legs specifically. I think mainly it's good to be able to check in with yourself and use your breath. Is like the power of the breath.
Yeah, I was about to say, surely it's more about doing it safely and with presence.
Yeah, the power of the breath is incredible. And I've definitely found that in stressful situations in a rehearsal room or in a tech rehearsal,
Worst, yeah.
you know, being able to take some breaths and recenter myself. Amazing. Yeah, big fan of yoga.
That's
Bigging
really
up
cool.
yoga.
Nice. So we've had a couple of lovely messages from our troupe members. So Mouncelot, our wonderful clown performer, general creative goddess, says, I am very grateful for the roof over my head, especially at this cold time of year. Amen. Lovely Belle Blue Stocking says, along the same lines, I'm grateful for fluffy socks, hot water bottles and Netflix.
Strong.
And lovely Miss Mustard Seed says that she's grateful that 2021 is the year that she becomes an auntie.
I know it's the year she becomes an auntie. Oh, that's so exciting.
So we've had a couple of responses. Miles has said that he is grateful for music. Sam has said that she is grateful for chocolate and lots of it. Without it, I'd be on a rampage.
Hear that?
I'm not sure what kind of rampage.
No, rampage unspecified.
Vaz has said he's grateful for wine. So I think that's pretty much what my lockdown has been made of: music, chocolate and wine.
Yeah, I think those guys are working together.
Yeah.
Start a troupe.
We've also had Matthew, who has said that he is grateful to have running trousers that don't have holes in the pockets.
That would be annoying.
Well, Guy, it's been delightful to catch up with you
Yeah, so
and
nice.
to chat about everything that's going on in your life. Before we go, do you have anything that you would like to promote? Anything you would like to plug?
Yes, I do actually.
Do you want to tell us what it
That's
is?
nice. Yeah, no, actually, I do, but I'm not gonna. I'm doing on the 31st of January, Sunday the 31st of January. I'm directing we're spending a day of research and development on this play, and then we're reading it 7 p.m. With the Manchester Jewish Museum, and it's an amazing play. It was written in Theresienstadt ghetto, but never performed in there. It's amazing. It's an amazing work of art. The woman who discovered the play will be there. The professor, Dr. Lisa Peschel of York University, whose book she compiled it in, she will be there. The widow of one of the writers, Zdenek Elias, his wife Kate and daughter Dorothy are going to be part of it.
Oh man.
Which is incredible. And we've got some amazing actors. I'm really excited about it. So check that out. Sunday the 31st of January, Manchester Jewish Museum on Zoom.
How does one check it out? Will you give us a link that we can...
I'll give you a link.
in our
Definitely.
description?
I'll give you a link. Yeah.
Excellent.
Amazing. Thank you so much,
Thank
Guy.
you.
That's very
Thanks for letting
exciting.
me plug.
Oh, no, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to our listeners for joining us once again. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Yes, as always, we are on the social medias. Come and find us on there. You know the drill. It's all in the description box below, or wherever the description box is in relation to your eyeline. And we will see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. This has been the Invisible Cabaret podcast, and thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do be sure to share it with a friend and let us know that you've enjoyed it on one of our many socials. We're passionate about stripping away stigma with as many people as possible, and hearing feedback about the things that you and your friends have enjoyed listening to brings us nothing but joy. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search Invisible Cabaret.